All right, time to get down to the Mr. GLOAT podcast on April the 5th, 2025. 6 days ago. Well, technically it's 5 days ago. It's actually today's Thursday as I'm recording this podcast for Friday. And even though there's other things doing on April the 6th, but yeah, we've been through a lot of crazy stuff. April the 5th, 2025 will mark down as a lot of interesting moments. Controversies, referee incompetence, judging incompetence, and a lot of controversial knockdowns. And most importantly, nothing much to say. So if we have to talk about stuff that happened in the USA right now, well, you could go to the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to be involved with the Gary Jonas and Callie Reese promotion, where they had a WBO International Super Lightweight title with Antonio Moran winning out a majority decision to win out that belt against a random dude named Williams, an undefeated fighter that's already in the bum. So, yeah, nothing much there. But, hey, great comeback win after his loss against a guy that's only had a few professional fights. And also have an IBF North American welterweight fight that same day with Ricardo Salaz Rodriguez defeating Kent Cruz by a round 2 TKO. Those contenders aren't really much to talk about. And if you're probably wondering, is there any heavyweight fighters at this time? Well, there were only a couple of heavyweight fighters, such as Dante Benjamin, a guy that won an 8-round fight, winning his 11th fight with one draw. He's ranked number 38 in the light heavyweight after his win against Rodolfo Gomez Jr. You could talk about 13-0 Beck Namangabek. Can't pronounce his name properly. He wins a first-round TKO with his 14th win and his 12th knockout. And the reason I can't pronounce his name much is because he's from Kazakhstan. He's a southpaw fighter, and he's number 16 in the super middleweight. And they're reporting that he's having another fight in San Diego in May the 24th. So it's great that he's having a lot of full times there. But yeah, as for other boxing fights, well, there's nothing much interesting of this show. So you can even talk about Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas by Bob Arum Promotion, where he had Richard Torres do an amazing job against Gildo Vianello. He wins the vacant IBF North American heavyweight title, the North American Boxing Federation title, and the WBO NABO heavyweight title, all vacant by a 10-round points decision, his first ever decision. Well, this wasn't his only fight for a non-knockout. Technically, you could talk about his fight September last year against Joey Dojek when the fight ended because Joey was repeatedly spitting out his mouthpiece on Torres, and by round 5, the referee Wes Melton just gave him a disqualification. So that was the first legit non-knockout for Richard Torres. Torres scored a knockout against a Mexican fighter last December. And, well, he scores 10 rounds against this guy that was somewhat of a Italian contender, considering he had 13 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. Yeah, this guy also had problems for getting deducted a point for holding in round 2. This fight was not that entertaining to begin with. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to talk about the fight as much because technically there's nothing much to it. Like, Torres got round 1, and round 2 was a 10-8 score for the deduct point, and round 3 had some difficulties of Torres a little bit, but might have won the round in round 4. And then Gildo came out of round 5 and barely in round 6 and round 7 to win out some rounds, but it was too late because by round 8, round 9, and round 10, Torres obliterated him. So I had it a queer 97-92 score. 2 other judges had 98-91, but at least one judge agreed with me. But yeah, most importantly, other fights that day, such as the WBO Latino Super Lightweight, where 22-0 Landolfo Delgado gets his Super Lightweight title, barely by 2 judges giving him 96-94 and 195 even. But he gets his 23rd win, and he's ranked number 14 in the Super Lightweight. But good luck, because we even have Abdullah Mason in the lightweight winning his 18th fight by a round 6 cornerman retirement because his opponent Carlos Ornelas wasn't in the game that day. Like for the NABF and WBO NABO, or as the North American Boxing Federation title as well for the lightweight titles. His opponent Carlos was getting knocked down in rounds 2, 4, and by round 6 he got knocked out several times. And the referee and his corner trainer, everyone, yeah, the fight was already stopped. So, yeah, another great dominated win. And as for heavyweight fights, nothing much. There were some undefeated boxers that day winning multiple fights, knockouts, and decisions. So, yeah, you can talk about how about we go to Michigan, Detroit in the southern field, the south field of Radisson Hotel, where we had promoter Carlos Leonaz. I have heard of Carlos Leonaz a couple times before. I once remembered back in the day, he actually did had one opponent I did remember that he once worked with, known as Demetrius Banks. And Demetrius Banks is ranked number 309. And I once remembered this guy to be involved as being a nothing but a nobody anymore, because he used to, I actually remembered he actually boxed with Robert Saran Safer and even other fighters that were nobodies, just like Joey Dallas, the guy that got DQ'd by Richard Torres last year, well, back in September 2017. So, yeah. But yeah, and even other random promoted fights, because I even remember back in 2021, he did train out one fighter that's actually in the heavyweights still, but he's at number 52, named Derek Miller Jr. But Derek Miller Jr. had a majority 8-round decision last February in Motor City Casino. So I can't say much about this Detroit promoter from Michigan named Carlos Leonaz. He's been in for it for 19 years, and his promotional fight wasn't much today because there wasn't a lot of competition here, so I really can't say much about it. Like, I know a little bit about him, but those are the only things I know about him. So yeah, that's all I can say about America. Nothing much. As for Japan, well, let's just say Japan had a lot of interesting stuff. Like, you could talk about Kiyoshi Hatanaka boxing out with a little bit of other boxers that night in Showa Sports Center in Nagoya. But I can't say much entertaining stuff of contenders at that time. You could talk about City Plaza Yayoi Nozkazi Hall in Izumi, Osaka, Japan, by Sigemi Osugi, but he didn't have a lot of interesting promoted fights in this competition, so I really can't say much about his resume. We could talk about even the Shinto Center in Sakai, Osaka as well, by Kiyoharu Nakamura, another promoter that's only been involved in the business for a decade, and his competition and events that happened that day weren't that much to talk about. And my favorite, the Korakuen Hall in Tokyo, Japan, by Akihiko Honda. Man, guys, Korakuen Hall, Tokyo is one place I want to go to all the time to watch boxing, and there wasn't a lot of interesting competition that day, but yet again, I really can't say much about it. There were draws and other fights, but yet again, like I said before, there wasn't a lot of resume to talk about of the show. But there is going to be one interesting that will happen as much as we speak. I really don't know what to say. So with all that being out of the way, we're 9 minutes into this stream, and I'm just trying to get through all the countries as best I could. So yeah, So anyway, let's talk about the UK. Delicious hot chocolate. Milk. All right. Frank Warren, Co-op Live Arena, Manchester. This heavy impact show was so bad. It was so bad that these people had no idea how to make competition fair or even have the right fighter winning. Like, there's two options here. These people like WCW producers in 2000 were completely moronic, which is something the Brian, Vinny, and Craig show once talked about when they talked about 2000 WCW, or two, these people were trying to get the right fighters that they were promoting to get over with and to put them over in a big way, but they had no idea how to. Like, I'm like, how can these heavyweight boxers in Britain be that tough as contenders if they can't even make it to one step at a time? How is this? How did they fail? How did they even make this so controversially a failure? How did DAZN even thought this was a good idea? How did Frank Warren think about this? Like, it's so difficult. It's even hard for me to even talk about how you can even look at this from a light. Like, you even have Jack Rafferty versus Corey O'Regan, and even though that fight went 5 rounds by TKO in the later part after 12 rounds, and even though the fight was ended by cornerman, and even though with amazing knockout, and Jack Rafferty got his 26th win, and now he's in the super lightweight, ranked at number 22. This right here, making the lower weight class boxers in the division that entertainingly better, and you have heavyweight boxers having no idea how to make it to that level, and they failed, is so tough already that you had so much incompetence. Anyway, let's talk about these other United Kingdom shows like Devonish Complex, Belfast, and Rainton Meadows Arena. I don't know what to say about this. I almost want to talk about the co-op Frank Warren promotion so much because I'm pissed off. But I want to talk about the Germany show with the Autumn Weight Undisputed Championship, but that one even pisses me off most. Screw it. Well, let's get to these United Kingdom shows first before we talk about the Frank Warren stuff. Okay, so you can talk about Steve Wood and his promotion, and I don't know much about who Steve Winwood is other than he's been promoted since 1997, and there's not a lot of interesting things I can say about him other than he has been around some professional, but nothing much. Like, he is promoting out Travis Waters, a 10-0 fighter that's ranked number 178 in the welterweight, and he just scored his 11th win, considering how he had a horrible cut on his eye that day, but he managed to squeak out 6 rounds of a decision. And other fights that night were nothing much because these were just new fighters taking on jobbers. And then you go to Devonish Complex in Belfast, Northern Ireland, to watch promoter Jamie Conlon, a guy I do remember a little bit because I remember this guy before. Used to be, I remember watching him as the W because he used to be known for Michael Conlon. He was actually part of the Olympic Games, I remember, where he got his butt beat hard by Vladimir Niktichtin in the 2016 Brazil Olympic Games. And then got his butt beat bad by a Cuban fighter in the 2012 Olympic Games. And you have his brother here that got his ace beat by a guy named Jerwin Attajaz for the IBF World Super Flyweight title. Got his butt obliterated by that IBF World Super Flyweight. He retires and with a 19-1 record because of that one loss. And he's been promoting barely, I can't even talk straight right now. He barely promoted out 14 shows and barely does have barely a resume of fighters he's promoting with, but all he has is a bunch of undefeated fighters barely having a few fights taken on jobbers. So I can't say much about that. While on the other hand, you have Frank Warren. This show, now we get to co-op Live Arena, and I see the worst of its competition, the worst that this whole entire building has to offer. Now, I want to talk about the WBO International Heavyweight title with Phil Pergovich versus Joe Joyce. And considering how Filip Hrgović has another cut over his left eye early in the first round again. And when watching that fight, and guys, I didn't wrote a lot of information of that as much because I was more upset about the David Adelaide fight. So I'm not going to get into the details about the Hrgović-Joyce fight because I was more upset of writing down words for the Atomweight Undisputed Championship and the David Adelaide and the TKV fight. This one right here, it's so ridiculous how you can have a bunch of people throw in so much work to try to give these guys a chance to still be in the ranks, and they fail. And you have people online saying, Joe Joyce, retire. Joe Joyce, there's too much left in him. And now Frank Warren and other people are saying, no, he's not going to retire. Guys, the problem is, here's the problem. Guys, I once had moments back in October of 2020, and I once had a little bit of an interesting answer with Counterpunch Boxing back in 2020 when I once watched his stream with the Joe Joyce versus Daniel Dubois fight, talking about how I thought Daniel Dubois was going to win that fight. And the reason I said that, I think the fight took place in November of 2020. November the 28th, 2020. And I commented that Daniel Dubois would have won that fight because he was young. And even when the fight ended, because Dubois had that horrible swollen fractured eye socket and he had to cut out the fight by round 10, even though two judges had it favored of him, but it was a round 10 TKO. They would have ended the fight by a technical decision, but I don't know if the UK does that. So it's so bad to watch this and you see that, and it makes me wonder. Because, guys, the reason I thought Daniel Dubois was going to beat Joe Joyce back in 2020 is because Joe Joyce came into professional boxing at a later year in his life. And even though, don't get me wrong, yes, Joe Joyce was an old fighter. And people say, well, the more older you are, the more wiser you are. And the more younger you are, the more you have to learn about as a boxer. And I know a lot of people think Moses Atama doesn't have what it takes because he's too young. He's pushing himself too much into the pros. And I agree with that. This right here pushes all limits of stupidity to a lot of degree right now. And it's hard for me to watch all of this to say to myself, this is professional boxing. And the reason I say that is that because people have to understand, guys, I want you people to understand. Deontay Wilder was born on October the 22nd, 1985. You got that? Joe Joyce was born on September the 19th, 1985. 1 month older. Joe Joyce is 1 month older than Deontay Wilder. And Deontay Wilder, yes, he came into boxing later in his career, really late in the 2000s, and by 2007 he was in the American World Championship and such. But yet again, there wasn't much to that, then, to say the least, because yes, Deontay Wilder managed to push himself to the top, and he managed to help out America win a championship in under a decade by 2015. Since Shannon Briggs is winning the WBO in 2006 and lost in 2007, but it's bad because Deontay Wilder came in boxing since 2008 in his pros, months after his Olympic Games. Joe Joyce came in to the heavyweights after his silver medal in 2016, and then a year later in October of 2017. He was over 30 years old, and at this moment, I was already questioning, did he have what it takes to beat Joseph Parker? He did, even though people said that Joseph Parker was not in good shape that day. And I even thought Joey Zhang was going to win. Not the way I expected. I didn't expect him to beat him twice by knockouts in 2023. But yeah, Joe Joyce had not what it took. And I think that's the thing. Joe Joyce came in too late in his career. And I wish people can understand that. So he comes into this fight not in the best shape he is. Loses the first couple rounds. Yes, he came out on Hrgović in round 3. Hrgović came to round 8, and I thought round 5 was for Joyce, and round 6, round 7 for Hrgović, round 8 barely for Joyce again, and then round 9 and round 7 was all Hrgovic. I had 96 to 94. I actually maybe thought it was 97 to 93 for Hrgovic still. But who knows? It's up to you to decide. But yet again, Joyce didn't have what it takes, and that's the problem. He came in late in his career, and that's that. But boy, oh boy, David Adelaide, I cannot wait to show you people what I wrote down here. I wrote a lot of other information about the Autumnway fight, but this one is the worst. Oh God almighty, it's the worst. It's the worst. Guys, give me a second. So, guys, I didn't wrote a lot of notes about this fight as much. Well, by round 4 and round 5, I didn't write much about crazy stuff happening in this fight, other than talking about how jabs and how many jabs they're doing in clinches, but nothing much. But this is probably the worst. So Adelaide is 28 years old, and Jamie TKV, is 31 years old. He's 254 and a half, 339 and 3/4 pounds of David Adelaide. And of course, the tail of the tape shows it completely different, such as Adelaide's 339.13 and TKV's 254.9. But I always look up the statistics on BoxRec instead of tail of the tape, because it's more accurate than this. So keep that in mind. Both guys are 6'4", only for Adelaide being 6'1.5". So that's the thing. Now Adelaide has suffered his loss against Fabio Wardley, and TKV, on the other hand, he's taken on a bunch of nobody fighters in his career. He did take on one guy named Harry Armstrong, no relation to the multi-time champion back in the 30s, but or a relative, because this guy's British, undefeated. And then he lost against a Brazilian fighter not long ago in 2023 by round 6 TKO. And then he started winning interesting nobody fights fairly. He did win a fight against Michael Webster back in February last month ago to win the IBO International Heavyweight title, so not bad. So that did got him up the ranks. David Adelaide, on the other hand, he comes back from his loss. It takes him a full almost 14 months. He wins the BBBFC English Heavyweight title, and now he's fighting for the BBBFC British title, vacant. These two guys come out. It's so bad. I've never seen so much competence in 2025. Guys, people have to understand, 1996 and 1997 were years that had so much controversy in boxing. You had so much. You had both low blow controversies, with Riddick Bowe winning 2 fights in a row by the Polish fighter of Andrew GLOAT, both by low blows. One in Madison Square Garden. The first fight created a riot of people. And Andrew GLOAT's trainer had to be lifted in a stretcher in the middle of the riot. Crazy. Then in September of 1996, Tyson vacates his belt after his Frank Bruno controversy win, because Frank Bruno was not at his rank that day, takes on Bruce Seldon. Bruce Seldon takes a couple dives, loses, and then Tupac Shakur gets shot outside in a park in a 4-way intersection stoplight going to a gig, but never made it after people shot him, and then he died 6 days later. Keep that in mind. And Tupac Shakur was there that night. But controversy. And then we talk about the moment, the ear biting, where Tyson bites Evander Holyfield's ear off after their second fight, creates more controversy. And then we have the clinching. Henry Akinwande clinching Lennox Lewis multiple times, and Mills Lane also refereeing that fight, just like the Holyfield and Tyson 2 fight, had to disqualify it. There was nothing left in it. Andrew GLOAT came back after a full year of his controversy low blows, loses by first round knockout against Lewis. Waste of talent. Or don't forget, Oliver McCall broke out in tears and suffered his first and only knockout loss, even though he was never knocked out, by, again, Lewis. 1996 and 1997 had so much controversies that 2025 is about to become the worst. After Skylar Lacey versus Brandon Moore in a couple months ago, due to the Claressa Shields versus Daniel Perkins World Undisputed Heavyweight title fight in women's boxing was a thing, seeing how bad that fight became controversial with a cameraman tripping out of the ring and then crashing through a table to end the fight. We're not even halfway through this year. This fight was bad. So guys, the fight started so bad and it got worse. It even got worse because the people that were voting David Adelaide to win this fight, his opponent was doing the better work. In round one, guys, it seemed like TKV was doing so good in the rounds. I didn't write down a lot of information, but there was a lot. The first round, we're seeing punches, punch, 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 jab, jab, jab. Both are in their orthodox. And TKV is charging, attacking. They clinch. They get their arms caught on each other. There's times that they're putting headlocks on each other's gloves. Like every time, like if you had to say David Adelaide was going to throw a punch or he misses, or if TKV was going to throw a punch, they were going to throw a headlock on each other to stop them from punching and have the referee to say break. It was so bad. By the way, just to let you viewers know, the referee of this fight is Ron Kearney. So Ron Kearney has been a judge since 2016. In 2019. As a referee, 2016. Not even a decade in. And he has promoted a lot of refereeing fights back in 2024 for the BBBFC titles. And also was involved with a Jack Rafferty win against Henry Turner last October for multi-time British titles. But that was about it. He's fought a lot of BFC of titles. So I can understand why he's refereeing this fight. But after this, there's no way he should referee again. It was bad. These guys were clinching so bad. They're grabbing, touching each other, and every time they're grabbing and headlocking each other, the referee would spank their glove out of the way, get their arms off, and even say break. It was so bad that the first round, and TKV was dominating that round easily. There was nothing much you can say about it. And by the first round, it was just going to get worse by the minute. And it was going to get a little bit boring until the sixth round. Now, by round two, David Adelaide started to put in an interesting work. He was actually getting some offense in. But TKV, his left jabs were doing the work the entire night. He sometimes tries to charge in to attack David Adelaide, and they would just get their arms caught in each other. They were just throwing everything, slipping up everything, targeting some left uppercuts, jabs. It was outside or inside. It was just... this is why I'm writing down. We're seeing jabs, uppercuts, jabbing, and TKV is he's staying low, sliding, going the distance. And there was a moment during the end of round one where they're still clinching each other and throwing punches, and Ron gives them warning for back of the head, warns TKV, bell rings, that's it. And by round two, it was just round two. So we're getting the round two, and both are getting themselves in a tight budget here. Now, the first minute and a half wasn't much to talk about, but then it gets worse. TKV goes for the charge, boom, misses, and then David is now clinching his arms, and we're getting punches to the back from TKV. And all Ron is doing, the referee, he's running, charging, he's going left, he's going out, he's slipping like he's a professional wrestling referee, and he's just spanking the gloves out of that. He's telling them break. He goes forward. He's just spanking the gloves every time they're hugging or holding each other. He just spanks the boxer's glove. It's so ridiculous. It was like Ron. Now, there is some referees that have their character of how they referee the matches and what they do. Some referees don't like getting involved because they don't want to. They'll just wave the fight off, but not push the fight because they don't want to get hit. And then you have other boxers that are trying to get in the way, or even this is how they're going to stop this or that. And so who knows? And by the final minute of the second round, they're clinching each other, still throwing, punching each other. And again, Ron is giving warning to TKV again for holding again. And it was bad. You come to round 3, it just gets worse. Because in round 3, about some minute into the fight, they're punching, TKV stumbles, Adelaide throws a wild left, misses, turns, TKV does nothing about it, goes forward, they both throw their left jabs, and then TKV does a crazy 180, and now Adelaide is hugging part of his back, and now he's shoving him, but for some reason TKV is also having the back part of his left armpit like holding Adelaide's left glove. Adelaide manages to pull it out, and the referee comes in to stop it. And man, oh man, Adelaide does not hesitate to swing that heavy left punch on TKV's back. His back was turned, and the crowd is roaring in bananas. The referee tells him not to do that. He times out the fight with 1 minute and 32 seconds left of the fight. He gives TKV a warning for not grab holding this or that, which is not wrong. And then he gives David a warning about this for punching in the back, this or that. They both touch gloves, continue the fight, and nothing left much dangerously happens except they just keep clinching. There's one moment that he was cornering David Adelaide to the ropes, and they just stand still for 10 seconds, but that's about it. By round 4 and round 5, I really can't say much about the fight other than it's just clinching. These guys, it's just a boring fight. Guys, I was done writing my notes down because at this moment, I was just done because this was just a dumb fight. What was the point of me writing down stuff that was this bad? It was bad. But yeah, it was just so bad that I just couldn't get nothing down. So we go to round 6. Round 6. At this moment, there's nothing much I can say. So TKV, David are both, they're getting in close. So this is what the 6th round said. The 6th round comes in, they're both studying each other just for a couple seconds. They're both studying each other for only a couple seconds. And then, of course, TKV is going for his jabs. He goes forward, backs. He does this or that. The best thing about TKV is he's holding his glove like this while punching. So he's protecting himself, not getting hit by David. Like, David has nothing. He doesn't know how to handle this guy. He comes in for a punch, and then David decides to not hesitate. He goes for a 2-punch jab, and then goes forward. TKV ducks, goes under, and then they grab each other. And now they're stuck and going for a punch, caught, this or that. TKV's left glove is around the back of David, and the referee spanks it away again. And as he does, lets go of it. But just to let you viewers know, we're going to get to the instant replay because the instant replay tells a whole different story. But Ron spanks the glove away, and this moment, TKV's glove is this way. He lets go, not charging it. He just keeps it like this. His full face is exposed. His left glove is down here because he got rid of it. He stopped hugging David. David's glove is right here to the bottom left. So he sets up this huge punch. Down goes TKV. The referee said break 5 seconds, even when he spanked the glove out of TKV and punches him, not even protecting him. David threw a free punch that shouldn't have never been a knockout, and the referee counts it. It's so bad. He gets up at the count of 6, and TKV is walking towards where his corner trainers are. His trainer is in disbelief of what he saw. He continues to fight this or that, and David comes in, but then he starts trying to clinch. TKV is trying to clinch David, punches the rope, cornering him, And then the camera angle to another camera angle showing TKV trying to push David away. To push him away, he steps forward, but David's left leg is sticking out in front. So TKV runs straight past him, trips over David's left leg, and hits the ground. And the referee counts as a knockout. What the heck is going on here? He gets up at the count of 7, walks back to his corner again, and even when he's about to say he's ready, the referee waves the fight off. And then his trainer comes in, busts out to the corner, and he threatens him, giving this crazy wild freak that he's pissed off. They had to cut away to go to the other side of the corner, watching David Adelaide like climbing up on the ring and celebrating his win. This was ridiculously bad. And it's even worse because I didn't get to see what happened. And I thought the first punch, the first knockout was legit. It wasn't a controversial knockout. They showed us the replay of the second knockout. But then after they did, they showed us the first replay of the knockout in the opposite angle, which shows Adelaide putting a headlock on TKV's left arm. So his arm was caught on the armpit, which is why he was hugging Adelaide on the back. He could not get his left glove on, and he's holding it. And it shows Ron spanks the glove away, grabs it away from him, and then TKV turns his glove like this, and that's how David threw the free left punch that brought him down the first round. The referee had no business to become a referee whatsoever. It's the worst fight ever, and it's even worse when you get to see the full potential of another fight that's going to happen in Germany. And they even showed us another replay of the other angle, which showed the clear punch to the cheek. It was such a bad fight, and TKV, like, at this moment, it's so bad to see this because David Adelaide, as a former now British champion, this right here is not ranked the best. Like, he's number 32 in the world right now, but this right here is not what it's like to be in the boxing. It was a bad fight from the start, and it got worse. And Frank Warren's boxing promotion that day just became legitimately bad. Like you can talk about Delicious Ori, the 2024 Olympian that failed I think it was in the round of 16. He actually got his debut in this 4-round fight in this same show against a 3-7 fighter, wins all 4 rounds by decision in his pro debut. So congrats for that. But everything else on this show was just not good. It had a lot of bad stuff, but you look back at it, it's bad. You look back at it, it is what it is, but this was the worst. It was a bad show for what it was, and it had a lot of moments where these British boxers proved that Frank Warren's promoting boxers were not there. And you have David Adelaide winning a controversial fight. Joe Joyce is done for, and now Daniel Dubois taking on Alexander Usyk for a rematch. At this moment, I feel like Eddie Hearn's boxers, in my opinion, could do a much better job. But yet again, for everything going on, this is ridiculous. By far the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And that right there is just bad. It is bad, but looking back at it, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. So anyway, guys, while we're getting all that done, I'll be right back after these commercial breaks. It's a tough job out there, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to supernatural trails. That's right, guys. Next week on April the 19th, we are going straight to Season 3 of Fall. And ladies and gentlemen, even though Season 4 will take a while to do the winter edition, ladies and gentlemen, and I had a real pain in the butt, ladies and gentlemen, you viewers don't know how hard it was for me. Like, I know, even just let you viewers being in a warning, Season 3 isn't really my favorite season, but Season 4, I regret doing a lot. But you'll understand why when we get to that on April the 19th, 1 week before this video is uploaded. So, and don't forget, guys, this video is also sponsored by 4000K Downloader. Links are in the description. If you guys want to try to find ideas to download videos off of YouTube, 4000K Downloader is your buddy. So with that being said, let's continue with the podcast and the rest of this video. All right, so back from all that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you viewers enjoyed that. So with everything going on, ladies and gentlemen, in the world of boxing, so this is what I'm reporting to you viewers as well. Speaking about world title fights and other stuff, we do have to remember about Raymond Cardenas. So guys, 26-1, 14 knockouts. The Dinamita, Dinamita. That's his alias name. Ranked number 10 in the super bantamweight, taking on Naoya Inoue. I gotta look this up on Google Translator, ladies and gentlemen. So let me look this up on what this means. Dinamita. Huh.
Dinamita.
Dinamita, which stands for dynamite in Spanish. Okay, so Dinamita, which is dynamite in Spanish, from San Antonio, Texas, Raymond Cardenas, interesting alias name there, is, guys, I'm going to screen capture his resume because this is going to be a little bit interesting to show all you viewers online this, because it's going to be really interesting for me to look this up. So let me just try to turn all of this off as we speak, because this is ridiculous. So people are saying Raymond Cardenas has what it takes to take on Naoya Inoue, but when looking at it closely of his boxing resume, this is interesting. So Cardenas, 26-14 with one loss. 5'5", he's 29 years old. He's been boxing since July of 2015. Now he's been around for a good amount of time. And look at this resume. Now, this isn't a bad resume of winning some fights, but it's not all good. But the way he came out of nowhere is crazy. Like, this is what his resume is. It's kind of ridiculous when looking at this, because all I'm seeing here is a bunch of interesting things. So by 2015 to 2016, it's ridiculous. Like, he wins 10 matches against nobodies, which, don't get me wrong, guys. It's not common to have boxers take on a bunch of truck drivers in their first couple years as pro. It's not that bad. But then by 2017, he comes out. He somehow manages to take on some interesting wins. He gets a good rounds win here. And then he comes out in April of 2017, takes on Denny Flores. Not much of a record resume here. Lousy winning here. Dang, that's how many. Wow. Whew. Yeah. This is bad. Oh, crap. Oh god, my computer screen is turned. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I can't, okay. Oh, my computer screen is frozen, because of box wreck. God, you gotta be, I'm stuck. Dang it. Oh god, you gotta be kidding me. Click. Okay, give me get me out of here. Get me. I'm stuck. Are you? I can't get out of here. Oh my gosh. What it hello? I'm stuck. I'm trying to get out of. Oh, quick. Wait. Okay, now I can quick. Sheesh. That bring me. Okay, so, let's just get back to Robert Serra. Oh, hey, look, Floyd Schofield, 5th professional fight. Interesting. Yeah, that's a lot of interesting stuff. And look at this. This guy has a bunch of losses around here losses here, and the only time he gets a clean win is against Raymond Cardenas. That's ridiculous. Like, like this, his first loss. So this guy, Danny Fords, was 19-4-1, and he scores his last professional win against this guy that's taken on Naoya Inoue. He beats him by majority decision. That is so ridiculous. And it was even more ridiculous because I thought my computer was dead. Ridiculous. So yeah, I really can't say much about this other than for a resume wise here, because this is a little bit interesting for me to look at. Because, okay, this is what I'm seeing here. What I'm seeing here is a lot of stuff. He takes out wins in 2018. He squeaks out. Then he fights for this world title here against this guy, not with a good record, but somehow this guy manages to score out winning rounds with these judges, only for Raymond to win. That's his second close fight. 1-1 for a win and a defeat. Then in March, he takes on Ryan Lee Allen, a 2-1 fighter, in a 6-round fight, split decision. Ridiculous. And his next fight in November, well, I won't count this as a close fight, but then you come after this because he passes COVID, and by February of 2021, he takes on this fighter for the NABA USA Super Bantamweight and squeaks out another split decision 8-round fight. So by this moment, he takes a break, takes on someone, gets a knockout win in August, and then 11 months later, he takes on a 20-1 fighter and squeaks out barely another win with 6-4, 3-7. Another close fight. Well, I'll count as a close fight, but man, this is bad. So by 2023, he takes a break, takes on a nobody, and then takes an undefeated fighter, goes round 2 by KO, so good on him. Only by 2024 was his worst year to almost not make it to the contenders. He takes on this 30-5 guy for the WBC Feka Box fighter of the title. Has 2 judges scored evenly after 6 rounds. One's favoring this guy, but unable due to severe broken jaw. He wins this fight. And then in April, squeaks out another fight by close fighting by points, only to knock him out in the 9th round by KO. That's another win. Brian Acosta fight was ridiculous last February, and surprising how he managed to win out this fight because he did knock out Brian Acosta in one moment. So that's like 3, 4, 5 here, 6, 7. So he's been involved in 8 close fights and won 7 of them and lost 1. That's ridiculous. And people are thinking he has a chance of beating Naoya Inoue. That would be crazy if he does. All I can say is it's going to be interesting to see if Inoue can pull out a good win here. I think Inoue has a good chance to get this win here, and it'll be an interesting win to see. I do believe Inoue has what it takes to get this win here. In the T-Mobile Arena on May the 4th with Bob Arum Promotions. So it'll be interesting. We'll also have the WBO of Rafael Espinoza with his WBO World Featherweight title fight against a 17-2 fighter, which not going to be much to talk about that fight. So hope he gets it. He'll get his 3rd title defense. Yeah. So technically, it's going to be interesting to know what's going to happen. And guys, don't forget, a couple weeks ago, William Zepeda Segura gets his rematch win against Tevin Farmer last March the 29th and squeaked out another great majority decision to retain out his WBC interim world lightweight title. Here's a problem. For the WBC World Lightweight title, the lightweight title winner is being held by Shakur Stevenson. And I could see Shakur Stevenson winning this fight because William Zepeda, he's going to be an easy fight to get beaten by someone. William is number 4 in the ranks, and someone that easy will fight for him and get the win. So there's nothing much to say about this. Seeing him and Shakur Stevenson fight, it'll be an interesting fight to know who will win. Will Williams Zepeda will he win a world title? I'm sure he will, but the way it is, I'm really concerned he might not. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to understand what we're getting ourselves into. But guys, there is one other fighter I want to talk about that I do think has more of a chance as a world champion. Oscar Collazo. Guys, Oscar Collazo, 28 years old, 12-0. This guy in the minimum weight division, I think we all have to pay attention to this dude because as the WBA, WBO champion, he won out his fight against Edwin Cano Hernandez, a 13-2-1 fighter. Went to Mexico, scored a round 5 KO. The thing is, we're having problems in the minimum weight division where we have two fighters from the Philippines, which is nothing bad. Problem is, Melvin Jerusalem won a rematch for his WBC belt against Yudai Shigeoko. And as we know it, because the problem is, Oscar Collazo already beat him last May a couple of years ago. So the odds of them, and it was for the WBO minimum weight title fight. So there's no point because of this. So the odds of an undisputed minimum weight title fight happening again, if we ever do see Oscar Collazo fight against him again, is going to be hard because it ended badly. Pedro Tandren, the IBF minimum weight champion, is having a rematch with Jinjiro Shigeoko, the other Shigeoko brother. These Shigeoko brothers in Japan actually failed so hard losing their titles last year that it's just so bad that I don't even know if Japanese boxing in this division is going to get them back on top anymore. I do feel bad that it might not, but I do want to see a good fight there, which I hope we will. I hope we will because more of this information is interesting. The fight will happen again in May the 24th in Japan again, so it will be an interesting fight. I hope Shigeoko will defeat Pedro Tandren. I hope Oscar Collazo will take on the Shigeoko brothers, or I hope he'll take on Melvin Jerusalem this year to win the WBC belt, and then he'll fight for Undisputed because that'll be an interesting fight. I do want to see Undisputed fight with Oscar Collazo. But all in all, it's going to be interesting to know what's going to happen. But yet again, it's going to be hard for me to believe who's going to win. Who knows? And finally, this boxing match is the worst. This boxing match is just the worst that this entire division has to offer. December the 13th, 2003, in the Nuremberg Arena, Roger Tilleman gave the dumbest referee performance in history. A Belgian referee helped out one of the most controversial fights in history, helped Sven Otka defeat Robin Reed in a controversial 12-round fight for IBF, WBA, super middleweight titles. This is the most highly controversial fight of all time. And Germany puts out a lot of that. But don't get me wrong, in the USA, they've also had controversy with African fighters coming to America, and they get controversial decisions of not winning fights. And Roger Tilleman would take off a full year hiatus after that, barely refereeing out some fights, like refereeing out with Natalia Rogozina and the Yvonne Reyes fight in December of 2004, and had Natalia win that fight by TKO, which was the last best good fight of his career, and then had refereed fights until the early part of 2005 and wait of December of 2005, and then quit being a referee since and never did it again. And then he started to become a judge for the next few years until 2012. Like, this guy officiates so many bouts, it's so ridiculous. And of course, by 2012, he would pass away, but that just creates so much controversy that it makes you wonder, how legit is it when you go to the land that is Germany? It's that bad. So we go to the MBS Arena in Potsdam, Brandenburg, Germany. The show had so much, with light heavyweight fight, an unbelievable come from behind knockout win in the final round for a WBO European light heavyweight title fight, a close 8-round fight for a WBO youth super welterweight fight, and Rydell Booker being another just bummed out fighter that's lost his spunk that same night. It's there's nothing interesting about this entire thing. This creates disaster after another bit, and it's bad. And guys, before I talk about this, I want people to know this was live on Germany MDR that day, the event called the SES Box Gala with promoter of Ulf Steinforth and Benedikt Palahu. I don't know Palau. I don't know much about that guy, but Ulf Steinforth I have heard of a little bit before. I have heard of some of his boxing ability and other stuff. He used to work out with Felix Sturm, one of the few fighters and boxers talked about in the days. Sorry about that. I realized that my phone was giving off my gigabytes, meaning I was running out of time, so I had to stop the video there. But yeah, like I was talking about, I have heard of Steinhardt, about him, and worked with Felix Sturm, and heard about him doing with Arthur Abraham and Kubrat Pulev at some times during his early parts of their career. So I have heard about Ulf Steinforth before, but after this entire show, this right here was the worst to put on. Now, I will say, though, here's some of the stuff I will say. Victor Weichhorst is another Ukrainian fighter that just became more of a bust against his loss against Lanier Perot last February 2022, which took place in America. And Lanier Perot lost the ranks, but he is going to box against Detralius Webster, a random 9-4 dude, in April the 18th this month. So, don't know where he's going to be ranked, but who knows? But it's for all time's sakes, can't say much about that. But ever since that moment came to an end, I really can't say much about it. I will say, though, they've also put out a new debut fighter named Michel Michel Dobler, Dobler, a 21-year-old German fighter, 6'6.5", squeaked his first good professional fight, winning all 4 rounds by decision against a 1-1 fighter. So, yeah, good job for debuting their first heavyweight fighter, and he's going to fight again in May the 17th. I think the problem about that is that his what makes that about his debut fight is that he was working with judges that were male judges. And ever since talking about the unified atomweight fight last November, which were judged by all male judges, this right here makes it an assumption of a lot of problems. This puts in a lot of problems. Now, female judges is not all that bad. But I will point this out that only barely only 3 female judges. So I want you viewers to know that 3 female judges were involved in anything that we said. And I will talk about this because they were involved in some judging in some fights of this show, but I won't get into that because this will be a long video, but they have judged other fights on this show. They have. They did. Except a Belgian woman. And we'll get to that in just a couple minutes. But for everything going on, I can't say that it's not all bad, but yet again, it's not great when you're from the same when you're judging in your country by your fighter. That's what makes things worse. And that's what I'm trying to put out here. Because, guys, as for this video I'm making, I'm not trying to build up exciting content, but controversy to get the attention of everyone about this. Because the atomweight division is the lowest weight class in history, and I want everyone to know about this, even if it's forgotten. I'm trying to make this not forgotten. I'm going to keep pushing it for a full year. Because this was the worst. Now, the last thing I will point out, ladies and gentlemen, now, guys, there's going to be one more information I'm going to point out before I get into this last topic. The World of Championship of UFC 5 is taking a long time for me to think about because, like I said before, UFC 5 is one episode I don't want to do because it's just so much for me to think about, and I don't know what to say, and I don't know if next week is going to be a good Friday or a bad Friday, but man, oh man, it's going to be a doozy. So try to keep that to date if I ever do that episode, but we'll just have to wait and see. Keep your fingers crossed. Just keep your fingers crossed. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, with all the information there, let's get to our final topic. This is going to be one I'm going to disagree for a long time. Definitely. A long time. Anyway. So. Oh boy, this, guys, I hate to talk about this one, and this is the worst I've ever seen in my life, and I will never forgive what I'm going to talk about in this entire episode. It's the worst, and I hate every bit of it. Tina Rupert versus Samira Yamanaka for the IBF, WBC, WBA, and WBO World Atomweight Undisputed Championship. Winner takes all for the greatest of all time. Samira Yamanaka coming back. She's out in the atomweight, recovering from her loss against Anicia Estrada 2 years ago in America. Comes back to Germany, defeats Fabiana Baitik by close competition of judges. And then comes out in November, wins a fight against Iri Matsuda, and steals her unified titles. Considering that, and even though she knocked her out in the first round, but then, of course, the fight was close because she barely won like 5 rounds in that fight. Maybe 6 rounds, but that knockout in the first round is what got Tina the win, so fair enough. And that's it. Like, Samira Yamanaka and Tina Rupert went to her country in November to get their fights in. Samira Yamanaka won the IBF title last year ago, against Mika Iwakawa. Squeaks out a great dominated win in some sorts. And she was going to take on Fabiana Baitik last November, that same event. But, of course, Baitik wasn't in shape, so they canceled the fight and had this fight. So... and keep this in mind, those fights in November with Iri Matsuda and Tina Rupert were by male judges. We have 3 female judges and a male. 2 of them are from Germany, and one of them is a Ukrainian-born judge living in Belgium. Not good. And this is what I wrote down. I wrote so much stuff down that this is the most I've ever wrote down. I wrote a lot of stuff down in my career, and I don't read. Guys, I don't read through my notes as much because I don't do a lot of note writing as much, except talking about undisputed heavyweight championship fights. This one is the worst, and I hate it. So both fighters come into competition, they touch gloves, hit each other, and wish themselves luck. And they get to the buildup of a fight, wishing whoever's gonna win. That's it. Whoever wins, and I hope to God we see a rematch. That's all I want. If we get a rematch, that's all that matters. And if the rematch takes place, if Tina wins, we hope this rematch will be in Japan. And guys, I had my money on Tina Ruperchet winning the fight, but I really wanted Samira Yamanaka to win to prove a Japanese female boxers can fight and prove themselves. Because keep this in mind, guys. In female boxing history, only 3 females in Japan have ever unified their championships. Momo Koseki as an atomweight unified champion, WBC, WBA. Also a former minimum weight champion. Yuko Kuroki, a WBC and WBA minimum weight champion, and also former atomweight champions, but never unified. Also, Iri Matsuda did defeat Momo Koseki to win those titles, which made her the 3rd. And there was this times that some other Japanese females, like Etsuko Tada, was a WBA, IBF, and a 2-time WBO minimum weight champion, but she never unified those titles, becoming 4-time. And then you have Naoka Fujioka, a WBC, a minimum weight, WBA super flyweight, WBO bantamweight, WBA flyweight, and a WBO light flyweight, a 5-time weight class champion. But the problem is she was never unifying any title. She always wins one piece of a title, and that's it. 5 weight class champ, what the frig? And don't forget about Ayaka Miyayo or even Mio Yoshida. They're great female boxers, but it seems like these female girls do not take boxing always that seriously. They don't want to go the next step to the next mile like Japanese guys are doing. Well, even though I wish Junto Nakatani can unify his bantamweight titles if he can take on any of his Japanese fighters, like how Naoya Inoue is doing. So I don't know why they're not doing that. It seems like Japanese boxing is putting in a lot of problems. And when you watch this fight, I really want Samira Yamanaka to win this fight. So the first round starts off as this. I'm going to try to talk straight as best I can. Tina starts off throwing punches. Samira Yamanaka is landing punches. In some of the minutes of the fight, Tina does hit Samiri a lot with jabs, but a lot of them are punching. A lot of the punches are hitting Samiri's gloves a lot. So she keeps, like, Samira Yamanaka is blocking a lot of her punches with her holding like this, and Tina is punching Yamanaka's gloves. So there's no punches being landed as much in the fight. I do see Samiri landing a couple great body shots. And as a fast round, some punches after the first minute looked like Samiri was landing cleanly, while Tina was only jabbing Samiri's gloves. 1 minute, and Samiri throws a 2-punch combination upstairs. Both trade punches, while at 1 minute and 40 seconds, Samiri throws a low blow shot, but the referee ignores it. And that's the end of the first round. So Tina was taking a lot of jabs in the fight, and a lot of punches, but she threw more punches in that round than Yamanaka did. But it seemed like Yamanaka landed more cleaner shots that were more easier to see. So it seemed like it was almost like watching Rowdy Piper versus Mr. T in WrestleMania 2. It's like, oh, the first round, Rowdy Piper was starting off fast, quick, this or that, getting more stuff in. But Mr. T was getting cleaner punches in that fight, which meant you can say that Mr. T was winning that round, but you can say Rowdy Piper won the first round because he was doing more of the offensive work. He was the aggressor. So that's what it made me felt like. I think Yamanaka won that fight, but it seemed like a lot of judges was going to give Tina the win because they were German judges. females. No one cared. Round 2 comes to a start, and Tina starts throwing random jabs and punches to Samiri's gloves, not hitting anything. The punches are so fast to see if they hit anything or not. Like I said before, these girls are minimum weight, short ladies, 5 feet tall German and a 4'9" Yamanaka in Japan. They're in it. Tina's 32 years old and Yamanaka's 23 years old. So the older you are, the wiser you are. But yet again, watch out for the age difference. So at this moment, Yamanaka throws another queen body shot. And at 1 minute and 45 seconds left of the fight, Samiri throws another wild body shot. And then the ref warns Tina to watch out for the headbutting. When realizing I looked back, because mostly Tina did win straight for a headbutt one moment. The next minute, Tina takes some good queen jabs, but Samiri is leading this round early on because she started strong in the first half of the second round with 45 seconds left. And then they clinch for a second, giving Tina a queen shot upstairs, and Tina gets some body shots in, but the final seconds of the round, Samiri gets some shots in. She backs away with Tina throwing multiple wild shots that completely missed. And of course, it was a clear winner. Like, this round was a clear winner for Yamanaka. 2-0. Round 3, Tina attacks again. Every time the round starts, Tina starts in attacking early on, as she does, just like she did with Matsuda in the first round of their first fight. And Yamanaka is aware of that. Punching again, having Yamanaka punching multiple times. And for the next 30 seconds, they're trading punches nonstop until the referee stops it for a reason after saying no, 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 which I didn't understand what happened. More punches traded upstairs evenly. Samiri lands another body shot and has 1 minute left. Tina goes for a right jab. Samiri dodges left and down. Downstairs. Body shot. The ref stops and tells Samiri to keep the punches up because she did throw some low shots in the bottom. And there were times that she did hit the shorts, the boxing shorts. So both take a breather. Samiri throws a wild right punch and both trade again, while Yamanaka is getting more punches in this round. While Tina is the only one hitting the glove, Yamanaka, round 3, 3-0. Yamanaka, in my opinion, has 3 rounds. She's winning. We get to round 4, and this is where we get Tina Ruperchet in competition. Seconds into the 4th round, Tina attacks again. And then Samiri loses her balance after a fledge of punches and full into clockwise. So she goes full clockwise around the ring. Tina is charging for the attack. Samiri is recovering, and both are trading punches. Tina is the aggressor of this 4th round. A great round for her. At 1 minute and 5 seconds, Samiri's moving her gloves up and down, and Tina throws a left upstairs, hits the gloves and throws a right downstairs clean and hits a left upstairs. Samiri also gets a body shot in and then corners Tina to the ropes, but Tina escapes. The last 30 seconds was Tina getting cornered again, but survives. But the last 10 seconds, Tina corners Samiri to the ropes, bell rings. And just to let you viewers know, when I say that Tina escapes, guys, here's the thing. Every time Samiri Yamanaka is going for the attack formation, Tina gets away. Like, Tina is backing away like this, and then she makes a turn like this. And sorry for this, I'm not really good in movement. I'm not an autumn way person. But like I said before, every time Samiri is going to go for the attack, Samiri does this. Samiri is going for the attack. She's trying to scare her. She's a southpaw fighter, just like her friend Iri Matsuda. Tina Ruperchet's an orthodox. So she's backing away, and then she turns away, escapes from the ropes, and that's what she did. So she does that all the time. She tricks Samiri Yamanaka, thinking that she's going to corner her, and Tina escapes every single time of the entire fight. Like, no wonder Tina Rupert was that good. But of course, round 4 is to her because she started aggressively in this round. Round 5, Tina attacks Samiri again early, but Samiri attacks as well. Both trade punches to each other. Tina's going for a body shots and head shots. Samiri is only landing one punch combinations while Tina is landing multiple punches in this round. This round goes by easily as expected. And this is probably the better round for Tina here, 2-3. She's actually still one above Samiri. Nothing much happened in the 5th round, other than Tina just being a dominator. So we go to round 6. Both fighters charge in the middle of the ring. Samiri goes for early right jabs to scare off Tina, and then both are trading jabs as always. They do that. Left jabs from Tina and a right cross from Tina again. And Samiri misses a monster right at one point, and Samiri is moving forward as Tina backs into the ropes. Samiri tries to go for a barrage of punches but fails. The ref stops it for giving Samiri a warning. Tina still hitting Samiri's glove, not landing a lot of punches in this round. Samiri puts a good offensive of body shots in both fighters, but Yamanaka ends the round with 4-2. It was another interesting round for, I will say though, guys, as a fight, as I can say, it was a good round for Yamanaka. Don't get me wrong. It was actually a good round. It was a good round for where it is. It was a good round. So by round 7, it was different. Samiri attacks early and gets jabs landed. Tina gets caught on the ropes, both in the middle of the ring, trade punches, and Yamanaka starting off strong is what I meant to say. I'm not good at typing. As the aggressor in the first 30 seconds. Both fighters still going forward. Neither is backing away while trading more punches upstairs. Tina gets clean punches in an even amount. Clean punches. Don't get me wrong. Tina is doing a good job in this 7th round. Almost. And I'll say that. Throwing off great punches. I don't know how to explain it, but as throwing more combinations again, but both 30 seconds left, Samiri pushes Tina to the ropes and Tina escapes again. Both trade punches in the middle of the ring. The round ends with more punches by Tina, and Samiri is still fighting on clean body shots. The round was close, but 100% believe, in my mind, in my heart of heart, I believe Yamanaka pulled it off 5-2. And then the last 3 rounds, ladies and gentlemen, was definitely Tina Rupert. Guys, I'm going to say this, though, guys. I'm going to point this out. Tina Rupert did a pretty good job in the last 3 rounds. I think Tina Rupert found her strategy a lot better than anything else in this fight. Even though she did good in round 4 and round 5, she pulled off round 8, round 9, and round 10. Not bad. But round 9 is the worst. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's just skip round 8, ladies and gentlemen, because nothing much interesting happened in round 8 other than utter domination. Tina attacks Samiri easily. Gets a lot of clean punches upstairs in the first 30 seconds while Samiri is going forward, pushing Tina to the ropes multiple times, but escapes, gets quick jabs in on Samiri while they clinch at one point, which is one of the few times they barely clinch each other in a fight. With 1 minute into this round, both are throwing body shots at the same time. The ref doesn't see low blows from either of them. Yeah, they're 1 minute in and they're both grabbing onto each other and they're just throwing one body punch. The other throws it, the other does. One punches this and the other punches that. It's almost like they were both miming each other, which is kind of hilarious, but it just gets worse. But yeah, nothing crazy happened other than Tina was just dominating the round. I just can't explain it. And then, considering Tina won that round, the score is 5-3. Yamanaka's still winning. Round 9, ladies and gentlemen. Like, oh boy. So guys, the 9th round becomes the worst. Samiri starts off with backing into Tina into the ropes for probably the 25th time, I think I wrote, and Tina escapes for the 25th time. Well, 30 seconds into the fight, Tina is putting in better work. She's landing clean punches and into the fight. Samiri, out of nowhere, guys, they're both pushing each other. They both punch each other. Not one is backing away from each other as much. And out of nowhere, 30 seconds into this 9th round, Samiri hits Tina with a 100% clean right cross to the part of Tina's head from this angle. She turns her body with a right cross, hits Tina clean. And Tina hits, she stumbles because of that punch and hits the ground, lands on her back. And the ref sells it, counts it as a slip. I wrote, WTF did you meant? Why the F would you do that? In all capital letters. I said to myself. I was pissed off that they actually counted that as a slip. It's so stupid that Iri Matsuda got knocked out in the first round with Tina Ruperchet and they counted that as a knockdown. This was a clean right cross punch and the ref counted as a slip. Why the F would you do that? So they continue the fight. Samiri pushes Tina to the ropes, but Tina still throws punches and then goes to the other side where both trade punches with 1 minute left until a clinch. Considering Tina was landing more punches in this round, I wrote, and Samiri wasn't, but the KO that was called a slip should have been a 10-8 for Yamanaka. But considering it wasn't, I still give this round a Yamanaka round. As for the controversy of making it 6-3, but counting it as a 1 point deducted because of Tina Ruperchet getting knocked down in that round, is 6-2. That's my score after 9 rounds. It's so bad that the referees decided this was ridiculous. It's bad. So we come to the 10th and final round. The bell rings, the final round. The ref brings both of them over to touch gloves and both fight. Tina gets clean jabs and the crowd is cheering Tina's name in, and Samiri attacks Tina, pushes her into the ropes. Both are fighting hard in this last round and another clinch. This is the most clinches they had in this round, and I don't blame them. But Yamanaka is not giving up. Tina not giving up. Tina is escaping every single time while escaping the ropes. And with 40 seconds left, both trade body shots and upstairs punches. Tina is doing the best work of this entire round of this fight, and the round ends with Yamanaka attacking Tina to the ropes. Tina doesn't escape, but clinches. Both still trade punches. The bell rings, both hug. And that's it. It's that bad when you see this. It's just not good. And it's even bad because I wrote a lot of sloppy stuff here that that was not that good. Yeah, so my score is actually Tina wins this round. Like the score is like 6-4. Tina won 4 rounds. Yamanaka won 6. But because of the knockdown in round 9, it's actually 6-3 originally. Yamanaka wins 96-93. That's my score. There's nothing much you can say about that. That's the truth. There's nothing you can say to make me think that there's nothing controversial about this. It is controversial. That's the problem. It's just that bad to see. And guys, this is the moment that pissed me off so much of this entire fight. They announced everything from start to finish. And by the way, guys, I can't understand the German announcers because there's just German commentators. So I don't know much about the commentating other than just watching the fight. That's it. So I can't understand the information of what the commentators were talking about. So just keep that in mind. So, yeah, excuse me, but this was bad. This was the worst I've ever seen of performances as boxing. So the announcer comes in, both referee, like, what's the referee's name again? Oh my gosh. Guido Cavallero. Is that Italian? Yep, that's an Italian boxer. Referee, judge, inspector, supervisor, who cares? So Guido from Italy is both raising out their hands. The announcer, don't know his name, but he does talk English, but he does read in German. And I'm sure people in the audience that's German would already understand him in English because he would already announce the name, so he doesn't have to talk in German, so the crowd would cheer like crazy. Doesn't matter, but yeah. So he announces Alina Pobivalio, a Belgian woman, born Ukrainian, scores it 95-95. Meaning she only scored 5 rounds each for either of them. But if she did give round 9, now guys, I don't know what scores on BoxRec. I can't find what rounds they scored, but if it's true that she did give Yamanaka round 9 as a knockout, then this would have been a split decision, not a majority decision, 95-94. But this is when it gets ridiculous. The second judge, named Caroline Putz, scores it 96-95. A German woman gave it 6 rounds for one of the fighters and 5 rounds for the other, meaning in a 10-round boxing match, this Caroline scored 5 rounds for each of them, but one of these 5 rounds that was scored for this person was scored an extra round for 6 by the other fighter, meaning that one of the 10 rounds was scored a 10-10. But if the 9th round was a 10-8 that she scored for Yamanaka, means that this would have been 95-95. A majority decision. And probably a split decision draw. And the reason I say that is that the third judge, Suzanne Kopke, another German female, scores this bout 99-91. All favored, 2 of them favored by majority decision. Tina Ruperchet. What the fuck? I was pissed off. 90-91? Are you kidding me? It's so bad that you're telling me that Alina, that scored it 95 even would have been 95 to 94, giving it for Yamanaka. And Caroline that scored it 6 rounds for Rupert Chet for a 10, 6 tens and 5 tens for Yamanaka, meaning one of the 10 rounds was a 10-10 round. And if she did score a 10-9 round for Yamanaka, the knockout would have been a 10-8, meaning lost another point, meaning it would have been 95 to 95. And this 99 to 91, maybe would have been 92 to 97, I don't know what round she scored for Yamanaka, would have been a split decision draw. This fight would have been a draw. And you know what's even worse about this? About some hours later, about after this fight happened, I clicked on Tina Ruperchet's name and I realized that she had an Instagram. So I went online to confront her about this controversial decision. I even realized that Samira Yamanaka also had an Instagram as well. So I tried to give her a chance for her to fight this decision controversial. Don't get me wrong, guys. Even though my decision, 96 to 93, might not be that accurate, but even if you take one round away from me and even it still would have been 95 to 94, Yamanaka winning this fight. This was controversial. And you know what makes this even worse? If they actually give this a rematch, but this rematch for Yamanaka and Rupert Chet makes it a second rematch in Germany again and not in Japan, this is going to make Tina Rupert Chet the biggest duck of a cheat of all time. And if Rupert Chet does not get this rematch, I'm just going to make a lot of threats for Germany because this is the worst I've ever seen. I'm tired of Germany putting out random bullcrap stuff like this. It's so dumb. And yes, guys, I will admit it. Don't get me wrong, guys. America has done some stupid stuff before in their days, such as back in March the 1st, 2014, live in San Antonio, Texas, in the Alameda Dome, where Orlando Salido was retaining out the vacant WBO World Featherweight title against Vasily Lomachenko in this second professional fight, which is bad because that fight took place in Texas with Lawrence Cole, the referee, in that town. Yeah, you can already tell that Vasily Lomachenko was going to lose that fight by controversial, even though he should have won that fight. It was bad. I get it. And even though some judges and other people in America already screwed a bunch of African boxers to come into America, and I will admit it, America has done dumb stuff as before. This right here is still bad for what it is. Samira Yamanaka won this fight cleanly, and they took it away from her. This is the worst thing you can ever say that can bring boxing into dumb zone for how bad it is. And when it's all said and done with everything going on, they are back from day one. Why? Because what makes this moment even worse for history, as for history for what it is, the worst part about this is that Tina Rupert Chet did not get a lot of fame into this. Because online, there's a video on YouTube by a YouTuber named Tito Trinidad that uploaded this full fight on his channel that's 46 minutes long. And there's only barely several comments. And some of the comments talking about how bad it is that they didn't actually put this fight live at the time because, wait, is this Tito Trinidad? Wait, is this? Yeah. He uploaded the Iri Matsuda and Tina Rupert Chet fight some months ago, but this fight itself was bad. And I will say, though, there's a YouTube online named EULE3188 made a comment about this saying this. It was a great fight on site and just as clear as it can be seen on TV. What's embarrassing now is that someone is the first to upload it. And it's not the MDR, the Germany television broadcast rights. They never released this online. Just a YouTuber as the guy that uploaded the other. Very sad. It doesn't bring women's boxing forward anymore, nor does Tina, who made boxing history with it. Get the respect she should get for this achievement. He's not wrong. And of course I replied to him, but of course I don't think no one cares, but it's bad. And then another person released his comment a couple of days later named Kaysen M8016 commented, The saddest thing about it is that she certainly didn't get millions for the fight and victory. Like some men who don't even have a high school diploma. Well, there's some truth about that. And it's even bad, guys, because I'm the only one making a lot of comments online about this, and it's so bad. Don't get me wrong, I understand that there's not a lot of TV rights about this and people don't even know about this fight, and I'm trying to bring this. And this is the main reason why I'm trying to bring this out in the open for the public to see this. I'm trying to attack this entire thing once and for all. They accomplished none of this. And you know what's even bad? You have a bunch of problems here. In Japan, now don't get me wrong, guys, Germany has their own stuff to deal with, and there's other countries out there where if you go to El Salvador, the country, and you accidentally ran someone over by mistake, you better drive away or else you're going to prison. Even if you actually didn't mean to hit someone or you killed him, you might go to prison for your life there, even if you weren't living here. Yeah, true. And if you live in the country of Haiti and you accidentally turn your lights off in the house, good luck, because people might break into your house if the lights aren't on. Keep that in mind. Japan isn't the worst country than everything else, but when you have a bunch of Japanese women that don't have a lot of jobs, they're living out their life, and a lot of them are becoming AV porn star actresses, and a lot of them are getting molested and raped and even getting humiliated in train stations and subway trains by these perverts that don't know much about sex education because Japanese people don't know much about it. And then you had this Japanese woman of Yamanaka trying to make history as a unified, undisputed female Japanese fighter to become champion. And this is what you get? Makes Japan the biggest humiliation of all time, and Germany screwed it up. And if Tina Rupert does not offer a rematch for her and Yamanaka in Japan next time, and she decides to strip out the titles or never fight in the atomweight again, like Senicia Estrada retiring, or even if they do have a rematch but have it in Germany a second time, this makes Tina Rupert a bigger duck than Daniel Dubois. It's that bad. And like I said before, yeah, this guy's right. But you have someone uploading this online instead of the German MDR not uploading this live online. It's the worst. And it does make boxing history bad for what it is. Here's the problem. The world of minor weight titles of WBF championships are more legitimate than you can expect of the women's IBF or women's IBA title. What a dumb show! Tokyo, Japan is far more legitimate, has far more legitimacy in the state of the United States of New England Northeast than New Hampshire, Vermont, the state of Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and the entirety world of the New England territory, and everything we've done to work out for world champions like John L. Sullivan, Rocky Marciano, Marvis Marvelin Hagler, Demetrius Andrade, and the greatest of all boxers of all time, and everything that we've done to have Canadian people help out the Maine Black Bears to become the NCAA Hockey Championships of 1993 with Paul Correa and their 1999 NCAA, and then have Bill Clinton take out over thousands of Somalians living in the United States. And as of 2025, they're building out housing complexes and having all of us white people suffer while the white people or the government is giving us people to put up white people in jail to have black people roam away free to build out housing complexes, getting rid of racetracks, golf courses, and destroying the entirety of the New England territory while Japanese women are getting molested in trains, becoming porn star actresses for how low job frequencies are for the economy and how effing bad they've done for all of their working of becoming championship boxers. Can you imagine that? It's sad is what it is. But anyway, that's going to do it for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing much I can say about this. Guys, this isn't going to be the last time I'm going to throw out all this information. It's just going to get more worse by time going on. But you know what? As long as it gets Samira Yamanaka and her all Japanese girls to be in the competition, I hope they can wake up from all this, because I'm trying to support these Japanese girls as best I can, because I think the Japanese people in today of 2025 are not getting much respect. I'm trying to help them out as best I can, and this is just one thing I would never forgive in my life. It's bad, and that's it. So we'll see what happens in the future, guys. Thanks for watching this full hour podcast. And with that being said, the Foxwolf says, out.